And then last week, James talked about holes in your holiness. And Josh talked a little bit about that. Like, some of us are called to be holy, but there are holes in our holiness. And so, what I'm talking about today is holiness His way, God's way. How can a holy God make His people holy? That's a challenging thought. For many of us, when we think about when we became Christians, we knew we were called out of darkness into His wonderful light. When I was, before I got baptized, before I was reached out to, I grew up right here in Miami. I grew up in Dade County, and unfortunately, I grew up in an area where there was a lot of gang violence. There was a ton of it. By senior year, I got my first official threat, like someone said they're gonna kill me. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm gonna get a gun and I'm gonna kill this dude first. By the grace of God, that dude got arrested before that even happened, so I didn't have to kill him. He got caught up in the system. But when I got baptized, it's not like those people in those communities all went to jail. They were still there, and I still kind of lived in the community. So my discipleship became, I'm gonna bring the kingdom of God everywhere but North Miami Beach. Because in North Miami Beach, I have this reputation that isn't a healthy reputation, and as a Christian, we gotta turn the other cheek, and I'm like, how do I turn the other cheek while dodging and making sure I don't get hit by anything else? And so we were raising money for ICMC in 2008. And we were raising money at a Checkers in the community where all of my rivals were. And so the campus minister at the time was like, hey, we're going to raise money here. This brings a lot of money. I saw the address and I was like, no. No. He was like, yeah, we want you to come. Blah, blah, blah. And you know, I'm from North Miami Beach. We're not scared of nothing. But when you can't fight, how do you fight, you know? Like, it's a real question. How do you fight when you can't fight? And so we went to North Miami Beach. We're doing a car wash, and I'm just thinking, hey, you know, this ain't bad. These guys probably moved, got education, etc. I see a Charger, a 2007 Charger come up with 24-inch rims. And I'm like, that's damn. So I look, and I grab one of the brothers, and I'm like, I gotta run. He's like, what do you mean you gotta run? I literally gotta run. And then so the guys go over this way through the drive-thru of the Checkers, and I just take off. And then Alex, my campus minister, said, what happened? I was like, well, you know, I explained to him. He's like, man, I didn't know. Why didn't you say anything? I'm from North Miami Beach. I can't admit I'm scared that I might get hurt. And so I end up running into them one more time in the local community, and there was like 4 of them, and I was at the mall, and they were walking toward me, and I was like, I was having a conflict of conscience. I could run inside Victoria's Secret and avoid getting beat up, or I could walk toward these guys and get beat up. So I was like, what do I do? So I was stuck in this situation, and as I was walking by those guys, the heckling started. They started calling my mother all kind of things, started calling me all kind of things, and all I said is, head straight, make sure no one's even near me. Because you know, sometimes, if you've ever been in those situations, they can be like wolves. They kind of like start to circle you, and it can get dangerous really quick. So I'm like, head straight. And then when I walked by, and I didn't get hurt, I was like, amen. I didn't have to respond, I didn't have to do anything. And then, you know, your kindergarten teacher, words come to my sticks and stones, may break my bones, but words never hurt me. God made me holy. I didn't have to respond the way I normally responded in the past. Yeah. I was able to walk through that situation and be like, praise the Lord, nothing happened. And now since then I've run into many of them, and now we're just too old for all of that. You know, like, you throw a punch, you blow your back out, man. How can God make His people holy? You know, God is, when He called us out of darkness into His light, He intended that we would be a holy people. Yeah. He intended that we would be a transformed people. And a part of that plan is His discipline. A part of that plan is to make us go through things so we can understand who He is and who we are before Him.
Mercy.
Hebrews chapter 12.
Help us, come on.
Hebrews chapter 12, it says, Starting in verse 10. They discipline us for a little while, speaking of our fathers, as they thought best. But God disciplines us for our good in order that we may share in His holiness. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. Therefore, strengthen your feeble arms and weak knees. You see, God uses discipline to train us. God uses discipline to make us participate in His holiness. Sometimes, through our own mishaps and our own failures, God can still use it and glorify His name. And another time, you did absolutely nothing wrong, at least nothing you see, and God is like, I see the heart of who you are, and I'm trying to transform you into a holy people. There we go back. All right. And so, I think this is really important that we understand this discipline in this way. Discipline is not always a punishment that happens to you as a result of some bad behavior. Often it comes as seemingly random circumstances that you must choose to respond to.
Yeah.
So discipline may not be for what you have done, but to shape what you will do. You see, we're all going to be disciplined in here one way or another. If God loves us, then we are guaranteed for His discipline. God is going to put us through something because He loves us. Because He's trying to refine us as people made in His image. And so I want us to look at the dialogue between Habakkuk and God. Habakkuk was dealing with a ton of issues in terms of how can a holy God not do anything about the injustice in his community? How can a holy God not do anything about that? But I want us to look at this particular passage, not necessarily from what Habakkuk was talking about in terms of Judah, but I want us to model Habakkuk's dialogue with God. Because I think we need that if we're going to share in God's holiness. I think we need that if we're going to be a holy people. So turn with me to Habakkuk chapter 1. For those of you who don't know, Habakkuk is a minor prophet. And so it's kind of like right before the book of Matthew. So I give you some time to look for it. Why? Like, why do we stress these things? Why do things happen? Why, Lord? How many of you have ever said that? Why, Lord? Why, Lord? I walked outside the other day and there was like bird poop all on my side of the car, and I'm like, why, Lord? Like, what did I do? I didn't even park under a tree. You know, it just felt like, it was one of those days everything was piling up. So let's start reading in verse 2. Chapter 1, verse 2. How long, Lord, must I call for help, but you do not listen? Or cry out to you violence, but you do not save? Why do you make me look at injustice? Why do you tolerate wrongdoing? Destruction and violence are before me. There is strife and conflict abounds. Therefore the law is paralyzed and justice never prevails. The wicked hem in the righteous so that justice is perverted. God replies, look at the nations and watch and be utterly amazed. For I am going to do something in your days that you would not believe even if you were told. I'm raising up the Babylonians, that ruthless and impetuous people, who sweep across the whole earth to seize dwellings not their own. They are a feared and dread people. They are a law to themselves and promote their own honor. Their horses are swifter than leopards, fierce than wolves at dusk. Their cavalry gallop headlong. Their horsemen come from afar. They fly like eagles swooping to devour. They all come intent on violence. Their hordes advance like a desert wind and gather prisoners like sand. They mock kings and scoff at rulers. They laugh at all fortified cities. By building earthen rams, they capture them. Then they sweep past like the wind and go on, guilty people whose own strength is their God. What you have to understand is, who is Babylon? Babylon was an invading country from the north. They were far worse people than the people of Israel were at this time. We're not going to get into detail, but it's like God saying, you see how horrible you guys are? I'm going to raise up another group of people to discipline you. I'm going to raise up another group of people to put you in your place. I'm going to raise up another group of people that will help you understand who I am.
Yeah.
And Habakkuk, like probably many of us, let's keep reading, replies, Lord, are you not from everlasting? My God, my Holy One, you will never die. You, Lord, have appointed them to execute judgment? You, my rock, have ordained them to punish? Your eyes are too pure to look on evil. You cannot tolerate wrongdoing. Why then do you tolerate the treacherous? Why are you silent while the wicked swallow up those more righteous than themselves? You have made people like the fish in the sea, like the sea creatures that have no rulers. The wicked pulls all of them up with hooks. He catches them in his net and he gathers them up to his dragnet. So he rejoices and is glad. Therefore he sacrifices to his net and burns incense to the dragnet. For by his net he lives in luxury and enjoys the choicest food. Is he to keep on emptying his net, destroying nations without mercy? I will stand at my watch and station myself at the ramparts. I will look to see what he will say to me and what answer I am to give to this complaint. You see, Jeremiah sought God and he was praying and he's like, God, my community's messed up. I need you. There's violence happening all around. Like, please work. Please respond because you are a holy God. You are a good God. You are a sovereign God. Please move powerfully. God's like, I will, but I'm going to use this person. What? Babylon? Come on, God. You got better options than that. Now, Babylon. It's like Allen Iverson practice. Babylon? Like Babylon? Like, why are you raising up Babylon? You're too holy to even know who these people are. They're wicked. Yeah. You see, I think sometimes we are in the same position spiritually. When we seek God, we know we need God. We know we want to be close to God. We know we have this desire to be a holy people. And we say, God, please work in my situation. God, please transform my situation. God, please work in ways I've never seen you work before. And God replies. And sometimes we don't like the reply he gives.
Yeah.
Men all through scriptures have struggled with how God acts. They struggle with how he replies and how he works. But you have to understand, God is outside of time and he's working with the end in mind. When you can understand he's working with an end in mind, you can find an incredible confidence in following God. But one thing I appreciate about God, he didn't shun Habakkuk for making this request and rebuttaling how he thought he was going to work. Job, Abraham, many of these people, the writer of Psalm 88, they struggled tremendously with God's will. Jonah ran from God's will. You know, for many of us in here, we can behave and think about it the same exact way. I've known of situations where people pray, God, I give this relationship to you. This relationship is going to honor you, but we want to do it your way and we are surrendered to whatever you decide, God, because it's all in your hands. But in their heart, they're like, this is supposed to end in marriage. That's where their spirit is supposed to go. And then God takes the relationship and separates it. God, did you hear me? I said I gave it to you to give it back to me. I could give it to you for you to take it. We could be that way sometimes. And we're like, why, God? Why? You're mean. You don't care about me. You know what our careers is about? Like, God, I want a job that's going to honor you, or that's going to glorify you, that's going to build up your kingdom. I want to be one of the biggest givers. I'm going to be one of those people who are like this flooding money to people who need it because I need this job to build you up. And God is like, you want to be one of the biggest givers? I got you. You get no job, but now you have to give what your minimum resources. Why, God? I can't do it with a little bit. He's like, you could have done it with a little bit. You just never wanted to. Yeah. You get challenged in this way. For myself personally, when I graduated from college, I had this incredible job interview lined up with Bank of America. I was going to make about like $60,000, right? You're like, oh, but I was 23 years old, so that's a lot of money for a 23-year-old. I was going to make about $60,000. I got to the final two, and I'm like, I'm gonna get this job. Who doesn't like me? Like, everyone likes me. I'm a nice guy. And I'm sitting there, and I go home, tell my mom I got the job. I'm like, man, my life is gonna be different now. I'm moving out in 6 months from here. I'm gonna get a car. I'm gonna be giving. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. My life is gonna be radically different. I get that email. You know that email that doesn't say congratulations. You got. I hope none of you got that email, but some of you probably have. You got that email, and it looks and it says, "Thank you for your interest in Bank of America." Like, that's not how a job offer is supposed to look. And then I read the email. And it's like, you're not gonna get hired. I called a guy, I called the guy who was interviewing me. I'm like, what happened? And he's like, oh, the other person was just what we were really looking for. You weren't looking for me. And I remember going back on my knees like, why, God? Like, I'm gonna be a failure. What am I gonna do with my life? I applied for other jobs, and I'm like, why is it not working out, man? I was really struggling. I just remember saying to myself, I'm gonna trust God, I'm gonna trust God. But I was really struggling that year. Well, fast forward to the summer, there was an internship happening with our church, and Renzo offered me that internship, and I did it, and I enjoyed it. We went to ICMC in Athens. I heard a call to go to Maine to serve the church there. Went to Maine for 3 years. God did incredible things, came back. Well, while I was in Maine, fell in love, got married, came back, and been serving here. But I look back at that decision, and I look how God has used my life, and I'm like, I understand now why you need to say no to that. Because I would not give up $60,000 at 23 years old. You're like, take $10 an hour for this internship right here. No way, man, I got $60,000. God was working. He disciplined me in that situation so I could share in His holiness. But I wrestled with God. I'm like, why? What are you doing? What are you up to? I think too often we don't wrestle with God, but Habakkuk did. Habakkuk wrestled with God tremendously. You know, Paul prayed 3 times, Lord, remove this thorn from my side, but God said no. He's like, man, the reason God even sent that thorn was to keep me from being conceited. That was helping him be holy. See, holiness is not being conceited, being humble. And so God is like, do you want to be humble? Do you really want to be made in my image? Then keep this thorn in your side. I think when we get the thorns in our side, we quit. We run. We're like, God, I hate being disciplined. Every household, if you have more than one child, every household has that child who kind of gets disciplined and is over dramatic. You know, they're like, they got the soldier kid who like takes the hit. Yeah. And then you got the one who kind of cries, and then there's the one who gets tapped. That's how some of us could be whenever trials come. Like, oh my gosh, God, I didn't get that extra hour at work. You give me real. I don't want to trivialize it, but sometimes we could be that way. Yeah. We could be that way. We could act like, oh my gosh, it's the worst thing ever. And if you're the child who's after the one who's over and dramatic, you get scared too. Because you're like, it must be really hurt. And then you get hit, you're like, man, this drama queen. Well, we could be the same exact way when it comes to questioning God's will. You know, our general response at times when it's not godly is to blame God or blame others. God, you're the reason why my family's crazy. You're the reason why I can't control my life. You're the reason why I have no job. Or it's this person's fault that you created and put in my life, and so it's still your fault indirectly, God, because it's your situation. You made the president, God, you allowed it, and now I'm messed up. Like, we can complain and complain. We can go like, God, ever since when I was 5 years old, that girl told me I was ugly in the playground, and now I got no self-confidence for the rest of my life. It's your fault, Lord. You have ruined me. Now I need counseling. Yeah. So someone can tell me I'm special. I say that because instead of going to that extreme, Habakkuk wrestled with God. He's like, God, what are you up to? God, what are you doing? I want to see your hand move. What are you doing? Why the Babylonians? I'm not trying to like control you. I just want to know what is going on. For many of us, the reason we ask why is the wrong reason. Not to understand God or see Him better, because we want to control God. You're like, I manage my life better than you, Lord. I know what I need way better than you, Lord. If you said Jesus is Lord, you said Jesus is Lord because you couldn't control your life. And everyone out there can't do it either, but you were wise enough to see, Lord, when my life is in my own hands, I mess it up, so I'm putting it in your hands because I trust you. You see, that's what disciples of Jesus do. That's how we were sharing God's holiness if we accept the discipline that God is giving us. In Genesis 50, verse 19 through 20, Joseph says to his brothers, after their father passed away, do not be afraid. Am I in the place of God? You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. Today, we are large enough rooms, and we're a large enough room in varying situations. Some of you are in the worst situations you've ever been in your entire life. And we want to pray for you, we want to help in whatever way, but you are in that situation, regardless of what you may think, so that God can use you to glorify His name.
Yeah.
You are in whatever situation. So if you're like, man, I can't make rent today, or I don't have a job, or I don't have this, God is like, hang on. I'm going to refine your character. When the moment comes, you will understand why I put you in this position. But you have to hang on. The alternative isn't to quit. It's to hang on. You see, we need to ask why we ask why. We need to say, why am I questioning that? Is it so I can be further submitted to God, or is it because I just want to complain and quit? Complaining begets complaining, and you guys have been alive long enough, at least most of you have been alive long enough. Complaining doesn't change anything. It just gives you a headache. And so, God replies to Habakkuk. God's reply is, will you trust Him? Will you trust His holiness? That's one of the most challenging things in this world to do, is to trust God. If you're like, no, trusting God is easy money for me. It's easy. I can trust God in my sleep. You're delusional. Trusting God is extremely difficult. Yeah. It's extremely difficult. It's easier to trust yourself. It's easier to trust your opinion. It's hard to trust God. It's hard to say the living God, the holy God, the Lord of Lords, the sovereign God is in control of my situation. Even when it looks like to everyone else, it doesn't look that way. You have to trust God. Yeah. And so, we're going to read here in Habakkuk chapter 2, starting in verse 2. The Lord replied, write down the revelation and make it plain on tablets, so that a herald may run with it. For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it will linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. See, the enemy is puffed up. His desires are not upright. But the righteous person will live by his faithfulness. Yeah. The righteous person will live by his faithfulness. Here's what God's reply to Habakkuk's wrestling with why I chose the Babylonians. Trust me. Why did you do it? Trust me. How about trust me? For those of you who are parents and work with little kids, they are always asking questions. Like, why I gotta go to sleep at 8? When are you gonna come back? Who's gonna feed me? Where do you get the money to feed me? And even somebody just wants to trust me. We've been feeding you long before you even thought about these questions. You'll be okay. Trust me. And God is the same way. He's like, I've been working your life and working angles to bring you to a holy decision long before you even contemplated some of these questions. Trust me. But it's difficult to trust. It's hard to trust. It is trying to trust. And so what do we end up doing? We end up not trusting God. Academic Professor Terry Eagleton says, the life is what you make of it view is seemingly trouble and it's vain. Well, why does he share this? See, when we start to lose trusting God, we start to try to define things ourselves. Well, I know God said in Genesis chapter 2, be fruitful and multiply. And I know He wants to be holy and set apart. I'm going to marry a woman, I don't care what her convictions is, so I can obey that command, be fruitful and multiply. Because that's ultimately what God really wants. Wrong. I hope you know that. If you're thinking that wrong, completely wrong. But we do that sometimes. We think like, oh, I'm just going to create meaning. Sometimes we're like, well, this can't be really discipleship because it's hard and I got to go to these meetings and be connected to the body and I got to pray to God and I got to fellowship and I got to deny myself. This can't really be what God wants. Where's my checkout card? I'm going on Christianity vacation. You plug in and then when people reach out to you, how you doing? Good. You know the one letter answer, good. Hey, bro, I wanted to just, pray with you. Okay. You're like, I know you got better vocabulary than that. But we become the kind of Christians who check out because we stop trusting God.
Yeah.
And instead of looking to God to say, God, what are you doing here? We start to say to ourselves, what am I doing here? What am I going to accomplish? We start to take these sayings and these quotes that are not even biblical. God don't help those who don't help themselves. You know that's not in the Bible. If you thought that was, that's in the book of First Opinions, but not in the Bible. we have to understand. We start saying these things and we believe them. We're like, I'm not trusting you anymore, Lord. Because you want me to help myself. You want me to figure out how I can be happy. Let that ruminate. You want me to figure out how I can be happy. Because the purpose of your existence is your happiness. We want to make you happy, so we give you boatloads of video games, movies galore, food galore. We give you all these things to make you happy, all the while you're not trusting God. You see, this is probably surprising to few, but God doesn't care about your happiness. He cares more about your holiness. He cares way more about your holiness. If you're happy in the process of being made holy, fire it up. It's a win-win. But if you're not happy in the process of being made holy, he still cares about your holiness. You think Joseph enjoyed being in prison? Or when Potiphar's wife accused him of rape and he was like, now I'm in prison, now they think I'm trying to rape this woman. You think he enjoyed all that? I bet he wanted a PS4. I bet he wanted to play games. I bet he wanted someone to encourage him and say, bro, you're so faithful, you're awesome. You've been faithful to the mission. Wait one more. He was in a prison with other prisoners who didn't even remember that he helped them.
Yeah.
But God was working and making them holy. When he got out of prison and he sat next to Pharaoh, he was a completely different man than the arrogant guy who said, oh, all you guys are going to bow down to me.
Exactly.
God worked tremendously. He's like, hey, I'm going to love you guys because I've been in a position where I had to bow down to other people and it was not encouraging. God made him more like himself.
Amen.
Through the discipline he suffered because he trusts God. So, what does God want us to do during these trials when we trust him? Discover what he's up to. And you know what? We're in a microwave generation. We want everything in 60 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 days of your money back. You want to develop your character in 30 days of your money back? Your character is going to take a lifetime to develop. You want to have deep convictions? I want to learn all the Bible. There's a Bible plan that you could read the Bible in 7 days. I'm like, that's ridiculous, man. Like, what? If you could read it in 7 days, shout out to you. But I don't think anyone in here could read it in 7 days. Because we're a microwave generation. Convictions that, instead of trusting God. We need to trust God. God is like, I'm working. I'm going to get you to where you need to be at the right time. Which is challenging because whose time are we on? Our time. Instead of remembering that we're on God's time. And this is what God was trying to tell Habakkuk. He's like, the righteous will live by their faithfulness in me. Their faith in me. They will trust me. They will see that I'm working this angle and they will not compromise. How do we know we're guilty of compromising or we're getting close to compromising? God wants you to honor, know him, and love him. And then you sit back and say, well, God also wants me to pay my rent and do this and do that. What God wants is for you to honor him and know him, no matter what, no matter how difficult. Our brother Eman, he's an amazing brother. I don't even know if he's accurate. He's an amazing brother, there you go, an incredible brother. A couple of years ago, some situations happened where he wasn't able to finish at FIU, and so he started to enroll at Miami-Dade, and then life, one after another, just hit him. wasn't able to get money for school, wasn't able to do a lot of things. But everyone was advising me, man, hey man, you know what? Do what you gotta do. If you gotta miss midweek or Devo, do what you gotta do. Spend your whole day looking for jobs. E-Man's also a good-looking guy. And he was single for like the 8 years, single. But you know what? A lot of women like E-Man. E-Man's a good-looking guy. He's a good-looking guy. And there were women, it isn't like he didn't have options. E-Man was like, yeah. But the whole time, when I would talk to him, when I moved back down, he's like, but I want to honor God. So I'm not going to date any women that are not Christians. I don't care what they're offering, I want to honor God. And I was like, well, maybe, even I said it into my shame. I was like, maybe you should just get a job. I mean, you know, get a, he's like, I want to honor God. E-Man would look for work in the morning, get on campus in the afternoon, no complaining. E-Man had job opportunities to miss the campus midweeks and the campus devotional, but he's like, I want to honor God, I'm going to be here. And so it was a tough 2 years. But what God did in his character, we were talking about this maybe 2 weeks ago, what God did in his character, he's like, now I want to be the biggest giver, I understand when life happens, I want to serve people, but I don't ever want to be the person who compromises my convictions, because what God took me through, I needed. Yeah. I needed to go through that entire situation. Well, now he has a great job at a law firm, he has a beautiful girlfriend, that dude's just fired up right now, look at him. MVP of the kingdom. You know, too often, instead of following God, like brothers like E-Man did, we sit back and say, it's compromise city time. Church, everything has to go. It's like a clearance sale. Convictions, memory, evil, all gotta go. And you just show, and you're like, what do you have left? Yeah. You're like, but God knows my heart. That's a scary thing that he knows your heart. Yeah. You should not say that confidently. God does know your heart, and you should tremble. Yeah, that's right. That's right. We need to trust God. If we are going to participate in God's holiness, we need to trust God. And that's what what God told Habakkuk. Let's read in chapter 3, verse 17 through 19 of Habakkuk. It says, though the fig tree does not bud, and there are no grapes on the vine, though the olive crop fails, and the fields produce no food, and though there are no sheep in the pen and no cattle in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be joyful in my God, my Savior. The sovereign Lord is my strength. He makes my feet like the feet of a deer, and he enables me to tread on the heights. What Habakkuk is saying here is, things have not changed, even after God told him to trust him. He's like, things kind of still look the same. But he's like, you know what? I'm going to trust God. I'm going to persevere and trust God. Yeah. You know, a lot of times, if we just hang in there, if we just hold on, there really is a light at the end of the tunnel. There really is. You know, I'm going to sound like one of those big drama guys, but like 2 months into my marriage with Jules, I'm like, this can't work. How can we make it to life, man? This is horrible. I'm so evil. You know, I'm like, this woman's going to be crushed by my wickedness. It isn't going to last. I remember saying to myself, how did I ruin her? I made this horrible. Fast forward 3 years, I'm like, one day at a time, but I feel confident. But if I would have quit in that 2-month moment, I would have never got to where I could feel confident that we can honor God in our marriage. Yeah. I think too often when the going gets tough, even if it lasts a year, take that year and learn what God is trying to do with you. Learn what he's trying to do with your marriage. Learn what he's trying to teach you. Take that year, take that 2 years, take that 3 years. You come out of it, battle tested, and able to serve and glorify God. But too often, quitting is the first thing we do, and so we never get to participate in God's holiness. We avoid discipline. We hate being disciplined. I do too. I hate it. I hate when people tell me where I gotta go. Even though I appreciate it to a large extent, I hate it at the same time. Like, hey bro, you know you're not responsible, man. You need to be on top of what you gotta be. Like, man, my life's hard. You don't know what I've been through. But then I need to hear it because I want to participate in God's holiness. You see, God's ultimate goal, his ultimate conviction is that we participate in his holiness. God wants us to be a joyful people. People who find this joy and this grace connected to Him and a meaning in Him that far surpasses our understanding. You see, joy is a lot different from happiness. Happiness, circumstantial. Joy, deep and eternal. You can find joy in your work because you're working in whatever field you're working to glorify God. But you can't attain that joy if you're not trusting Him. You will never get that joy if you don't trust Him. You will never have the joy that surpasses the moment. You see, God wants us to participate in His holiness. In 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 21 to 22, God says here, through Paul, you have a guaranteed deposit of what's to come. You know, no matter how rough this life may be, you have a guaranteed deposit if you remain faithful. You have a guaranteed inheritance in the life to come. And I know for many of us, we're like, I don't want that cop out. I want the American pie. You know, statistically speaking, most of us won't get it. Most of us won't get the American pie, but you got the kingdom of God. And that you should find great joy in. 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 8, God says, I will keep you blameless to the very end. I'm going to work it if you trust me. I'm going to keep you blameless in your purpose to the very end. So why, Lord? Why do you work the angles? Why do you do what you do? Why should I even question you? Because what God is wanting us to see here is we need to trust Him in the midst of all of it. We need to trust Him, and He won't force us to trust Him. I can't force you to trust Him. Every one of us needs to make an individual decision to trust Him. Please hear me. Our holiness is predicated on trusting God's process. We need to trust the process that God is putting us through. I want to encourage us as we come before landing to observe, to remember, to call to mind the practicals we were given last week on how we can find holes in our holiness. The 5 practicals. It's imperative, guys, that we take a real sincere ownership of our convictions.
Yeah.
I'm going to read the practicals out loud again just so we can hear them. Do an in-depth study on holiness and sanctification. For the next 2 weeks, fast and pray. Ask God to reveal the holes in your holiness. Prepare a confession statement to share with a close spiritual friend by July 31st. Write out a plan of repentance to review with the most spiritual person you know who can help you. Create a new mission statement for you, for your life and your personal ministry. Before we end with a word of prayer, trusting God in His way to produce holiness, that's challenging. And I want to lift up every person who made that decision. This past Wednesday, Roman was baptized. Roman Jean, you can stand up, bro? A young man made that decision to trust God in His holiness and to have God transform him. We're going to have another baptism coming up soon too. And so I want us to really pray about these things. We want to share in God's holiness by doing it God's way. With that, let's say a prayer for the communion.